Mita, help me keep the time. Okay, everyone already knows the rules, so let's kind of like give them like a round of applause first to hype them up. And then Amita, let me know when you're ready. Okay, this is the first question. I'll let you know when to start the timer. So who's going first? Okay. What was your team name? Team on the left? Yeah, what's your team name? Shaw.
Yeah, J-A-H.
Shaw. Okay. Okay. Do you guys have the microphone ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Start the timer. What is the difference between UX versus UI? And you can start answering with the mic whenever you're ready. Just one representative answers the question. Namita, give me a 2-minute warning. Remember, the time is already rolling. You guys are on the clock.
Oh.
Yeah, it's already started. Yeah, total, yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
2 minutes left.
2 minutes left.
Someone can just start answering.
We recommend someone to start. Namita, you can give them 30 extra seconds for this one.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Hi. So the difference between UX and UI, basically, with UI it's the visual elements and what's on the screen, versus UX is the entire, considering the customer's journey from how they behave with your product, how they interact with the first time they come across your brand. So thinking about the entire end-to-end journey and what the drop-off points are. So for example, when I was working at this company called Aftershoot, I was a product manager, right? So with UX, I was talking to the customers of our product. We were like thinking about the pain points, and we were like doing more of the back-end stuff where people were like telling us what their feature requests were, what their pain points were, and everything. And then I used to collaborate with the UI designer who would actually put the insights and translate it into the design of the screens. So that's more the UI aspect versus the entire flow, which is UX.
Do you guys want to try feeling the question? Also, Sabrina China, you guys sit here and discuss.
No, they did a great job.
Okay. Well, let's deal with it. Amita, you can join Okay, so the three coaches, they don't want to steal, so let me know once you have your score ready. Like the three of you have to agree on the same score. Okay, do the three of you all agree on the same score? The score is out of 10. It looks like they don't agree on the same score. Ready?
We'll do the scores at the end.
At the end?
Share the scores at the end. Yeah.
At the end?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, ready? Coaches?
We can move on to the
Move
next
on.
one as they
I want them to like listen to the thing clearly though. If the three of you disagree, you can just write down individual scores and do an average. Okay. So it looks like we agreed to pass on it. We're not stealing. Okay. What's the reason why you passed and not try to answer again?
Oh, I thought the example of like your previous experience of like showing how you've interacted with the two different roles highlighted the difference between each of them, especially from like a product management.
I agree. So I want to just give a quick shout out. I don't know the coaches' scores, obviously, but if I were to rank this personally, I would rank it between a solid like 7 or above. The reason for it is this is a little bit of a trick question. Most students actually get this really, really wrong. They give a textbook definition, that's it. But you have to connect it back to one of your own experiences on how you understand the problem, which they did. So amazing job, props to y'all. And then, okay, we're gonna show the next question, so the other team will start with it. And then remember, you have 3 minutes to read the question, discuss, pick up, represent, and answer the question. So tell me a time when you had to deal with a tight deadline. And if you're in the audience, think about how you would answer the question yourself. This is so exciting to watch. I feel like I'm hosting like a reality show. Oh, by the way, if you didn't know already, all these questions are really common interview questions. You can tell by the star rating how hard and how common it is. Are we ready?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so a time that I really had a tight deadline was at my internship in my senior year of high school, my single internship that I mentioned at the security interview. And since it was a job with the DoD, I did get labeled as a UX designer, but I was not assigned a ton of UX work. They didn't allow me to do a lot of things. We also had very limited access to programs, so I couldn't use Figma for a lot of stuff. But I was told to make an animation with After Effects it was a Monday, I believe. I had 3 days to do this. And I said, sure, I know how to use After Effects. I can do that. It'll be fine. And they were like, okay, by, I think it was Wednesday or Thursday, please have this animation done. It was something like 3 circles moving to converge in a certain way. And I had no idea how to do it, not at all, not one bit, because After Effects is very frustrating. But what I did was each day I just went onto YouTube and I started learning things about Bezier curves and other simple aspects of After Effects, and eventually I was able to pull it off on the day before they wanted to see it. And I got feedback, it was good. They told me what they wanted to change about the animation, and then I iterated upon that. I went back to YouTube, relearned what I needed to learn because of what they wanted to change, and I got to the next step. So, yeah.
Okay, awesome. Would the other team like to attempt to steal?
1 minute to steal.
Oh no, they can reset it to 3 minutes. Yeah. Yeah. It's a 3 minute. Yeah, just reset it.
We have 4 minutes to discuss and then answer it.
No, because you guys, it's assumed you guys discussed it, so just 3 minutes to answer
3
it.
minutes to
Okay.
answer.
Starting now.
Yeah.
Okay, so when I was working with TU Inc., which is an educational company, and that was the pandemic and a lot of things were happening, so the project manager came to me and gave me this task of creating a crew extension product, the whole experience plus the interface, and it has to be high fidelity. And the time that was really tight is about like 2 weeks turnaround. And so according to my experience, this is very tight schedule given the task. So I went back to the project manager and asked him about what is the purpose of this task? What are you trying to do with the setup design? Who are you presenting to? What do they want to know? And so the answer is he's just trying to add value to this specific product with presenting this set of high fidelity comms to the stakeholders who are potentially investing in this product. So the result is I use the current design system. I leverage on some existing design elements to make the high fidelity prototype.
All right, coaches, please discuss scores for both teams, and then the team you think scored higher will get 5 extra points. So, are the coaches already done with the grading? Yeah, start discussing. Thank you. As the coaches discuss, I want to engage the audience a bit. So, from the audience, who thinks on the left side answered better? Left side, what's the name? Like Jaw or something? Jaw? Okay. Who thinks Team Jaw answered better? Okay, who thinks on the right side, what's the team name? Sloth. Who thinks Sloth answered better? Okay, so one thing to remember is also like in this activity, one thing I want to showcase to all of you is, do you see that even if I ask one of you audience right now to give me a summary on what the team said, I think most of you probably would have a hard time rephrasing what they said. So what does this mean to you? It means if you're doing a behavioral question, the complexity of the story and how you phrase it is really important, because you may be giving a story you think is a good story, but they don't even really remember the details. So if I ask anyone from the crowd, like, how do you think a good story is? Really think about like how you're able to remember it. As the coaches score, they'll reveal the score at the end. But between these two, I think team left, Jaw, answered the question better. The rationale I'll give is because on the right side, it's not because the left side had a more product design experience. That matters, but it wasn't because of the way I scored this team higher wasn't because of that. The reason was because on the right side, they spent too much time giving the context. So the context shouldn't be that long. I've done a lot of interview classes. I actually remember for both sides, every detail they said. So on the right side, the story was about learning motion design 2 circles. The context is like learning it on YouTube, stuff like that. So I actually remember every detail, but most interviewers probably wouldn't. And then there's too much context because all that setup isn't really needed. So once you said I have to learn it, you can go right into what you did and the result, which was almost what the left side did. So if I was the interviewer, I would be very impressed with the answer on the left side. I've seen senior designers give worse answers than the left side, so very good work on the left side. Yeah. Okay, we'll keep going as they tally up the points. Coaches are ready, right, to move on? Okay. This is the third question. We're starting on the left side again with 4 minutes. And then Lamita, let me know when you're ready to start the timer. Okay. Both teams can discuss at the same time, but we're going to start with the left side. Timer started. How would you describe your design process? And just a quick tip, like if you're listening to Hannah's presentation, she gave a pretty good example. And in the audience, feel free to discuss amongst yourselves. This is a very, very common interview question as well. Does anyone in the audience feel like this is a very hard question to answer? Hard? Okay. In the audience, why do you think it's a hard question? Okay, we're ready to go.
Awesome. So I would describe my own design process as a few different steps. I'll frame this with a class project I'm working on at the moment for an interaction design studio class. And the concept is to redesign a dashboard and mobile app for an electronic moped. And so the process of this followed like building out the general scope for the design space. What are our limitations? What's our timeline? How much time and space do I have as a designer to develop this solution? And what are our goals? And who are we designing this for? So first of all, understanding a scope is a good way of framing like the next couple steps of the design process. After understanding that, I would probably go through a bit of brainstorming and ideation. I'm someone who's a very big visual learner, and so I really like to harness in on sketching things out, post-it noting, and creating some physical, tangible things that I can use to base the rest of my design process on. Then I'll go into some lo-fi prototypes, some feedback on that, start developing hi-fi prototypes, receive more feedback on that, and then continue iterating until both I, my team members, and the stakeholders involved are happy with the design that we're at.
Okay, would the other team attempt to steal? You guys have 30 seconds to decide. And then coaches, please start scoring already, if you haven't. In the audience, do you think you could give a better answer, or do you think the answer was already very good? Very good. Steal?
Yeah.
All right, they would like to steal, so 3 minutes. Coaches, please pay attention to Hannah, Shane, please pay attention to the other team. They're gonna try to steal. Yeah, go ahead.
I would say my design process consists of several steps. The first step would be to define a problem, specifically to look at what the task is, who the clients are, and who the users are. And based on that, we would of course learn about the client. And in my case, I was given an example of a redesign project on a website that I was working on for a class project. And the client is CMU BAA, so about the Alumni Association. So we first looked into what BAA is, and then we looked into their users, and we made sure to talk to them to confirm that we have the user groups right. For example, the alumni, CMU students, and also students that are generally interested in Carnival. Then we split the user group and we created personas to represent each of them. And then we thought about what each persona or each group of users would want to focus on, and like what their primary goals on these websites are. And then we would do that with the clients as well to make sure that we take the client's needs into account, and also involve then we would start creating local wireframes. And we would do some rounds of user testing, usually with 5 users at first, to make sure we leverage the time as well as the resources we have. Then we would do another round of wireframe refinement, and then another round of user testing with maybe potentially less users, and also focus on the aspects that previous iterations went wrong, or we would also consult with the clients about their feedback on our wireframes. So to reiterate, the design process would first contain defining a problem, and then go into intermediate steps of trying to solve the problem through interacting with the clients, the users, as well as any business or technical aspects. Then we would push out a final product.
Thank you both. Coaches, please finish scoring for both teams. Remember, the higher team gets 5 extra points. I said that wrong. Remember, if the team that stole gets 5 extra points if they got it right. So, out of these two, between you, like you 6, who do you think your team did better or the other team did better? And yeah, I'm just asking you all.
I think our team is better.
How about a team job? Do you think your team did better or the other team? Yeah, I like the competition. Yeah. Actually, this one, the reason why I asked them is this is a harder question to score. And actually, I think both teams did decent enough that if I was a recruiter or hiring manager, I would not score this question poorly. So this is a passing grade essentially for both. But since I'm writing a book on UX interviews, and just to make sure everyone here believes I'm qualified and know what I'm talking about, I'll give one example on how I would answer this question. So the key to this question actually is do not go over the entire design process. This is a little bit of a mistake both teams made. The reason why is because when you do that, you sort of lose detail on each part. So that question gets dragged out too long. So a good technique to answer this kind of question is my design process is A, B, C, and D, but I use it differently for each project. Let me show you an example from the website. Let me show you an example from my internship. Let me show you an example from when I was at GoDaddy. Let me show you an example from Amazon. And then in that example, you don't have to cover the full design process. You say in that example, the most important part of the process was user testing, which was actually what your team wanted to talk the most. Here you can talk about iteration, research, it doesn't matter, but you don't have to cover the whole process. When you cover the whole process, it's too much information to cram into 3 minutes. So hopefully that explanation makes sense. So both teams could definitely improve, but a solid start. Okay, so we're gonna go, I think we're starting with that side, right? Okay.
Should we ask someone from the audience if they want to try answering the design process question?
Sure, if we have extra time. We're almost at 3 already. Okay, so let's start the timing for this one. I guess you guys have a little bit of advantage, so we'll put that to the test today. Pretend you're interviewing for an entry-level UX design role at Amazon. How would you balance customer needs with business needs? Start the timer. You guys having fun? Like, make sure to think about the question in the audience as well, like how you would answer it.
3 minutes.
3 minutes left. Ready to answer?
How I would balance customer needs with business needs, specifically at Amazon. So one of their leadership principles is that they're customer centric, and that's a very essential part of their business value and just like all the products that they create. And so I would honestly argue that it's not so much balancing, because I think that Amazon's mindset in general is just that if you make a good product, the customers are going to follow and they're going to, bring back their business. And I think at the end of the day, businesses want to make money. So I think by focusing on the customer needs, really understanding what they want, what they could do with your product and where it could go, will then inevitably drive the business needs. If the CEO or any of the leadership have a specific direction that they want to go to, I think that it's really important to validate what the customer needs, really talk to the customers and see if this is something that they want. And if it's not, I think it's worth pushing against those business needs, because at the end of the day, you're making a product for the customer, not for the business. And so I think they kind of go hand in hand.
What other team like to speak? Oh, all right, let's get right into
I
it.
just have a personal question, because our professor talked about Alexa so many times. And so our professor, I wouldn't say who that person is, but that person actually pays Alexa because Alexa really follows the user's needs. It brought a lot of benefits to the users and end up with having Amazon losing money.
Yes.
So.
Sorry, is this a question to us, or who is this question to?
Yeah, I just want to add comments.
Oh, like challenge?
What she says is following customers,
Right.
users' needs is always.
Does your team want to steal it, or it's just a question?
She wants to know it.
As well. Okay. Oh, we're getting a little bit competitive at that. The question you asked is actually really good. Like Sheng and I were discussing this about the Alexa thing. So, Sheng, do you think you can give a 1 minute explanation why Alexa lost a lot of money? Do you think you can do it in 1 minute? Yeah, you can use the mic. Yeah, this is just side product design knowledge too. It's a good example.
Hello? So, this is something
You can face them.
So why we lose our money is about the business model. So to run a company, to make a product successful, like I mentioned, there's three. Then it's also business defined what the business model is. If the business model is wrong, then no matter what you're gonna do, it's gonna result in failure. We can't see many ways Meta is the company is running. Because why? The business model is bad. Alexa, same thing, the business model is not optimized for revenue. It's trying to make revenue, but the business model is wrong. Even though what you do for the design, how fancy the technology you implementing, it's just gonna result in failure. So that's something, a good balance you have to keep, making sure none of it is dominating the conversation. So for example, Alexa would buy her hey, by the way, you want to subscribe for that? You want to purchase something for that? Here's your recommendation. So you can tell it's really businessy approach rather than user focused. But sometimes user focused approach doesn't drive business. But sometimes the method to drive business doesn't earn user trust. You see, they're all contradicting. So for us, it's understand the balance. Then sometimes it's important for the leadership, for the product manager to listen a little bit from the user side. What do they really need? Do they really want to subscribe to your products? Or is there something else they were focused on? Then essentially it can affect your business model or affect your product market. So user needs is actually more important.
Great answer. Okay, other team can steal. You have 3 minutes. Namita will set the timer.
Okay. So balancing customer needs and business needs is actually where I thrive. So when I was working at Aftershoot, which is the company I was an associate product manager at, one of the things that I was struggling with was that, so my company had incorporated some dark UX patterns to not allow the customers to cancel their subscriptions very easily. So what happened was like as soon as someone would like try to cancel their subscription, you had to go like in the depths of the website somewhere, and then when you click on the cancel button, you have to talk to a customer representative, and then they would ask you a million questions before they actually let you go. So it was a very bad cancellation process, and the feedback that we were getting was terrible. They were like, we're never gonna come back to this subscription service ever again, and I would never recommend it to anyone. So my primary job was also to go through the customer sentiment on the feedback platforms that we had, the social media platforms, and so I realized that this was a really big problem because this was hurting the trust that people had in the company. And I went back and did a lot of research on how cancellation processes could be improved, and I learned that actually a simple and straightforward cancellation process would improve the likelihood that people will come back, and giving them a structured cancellation flow will give us better information on why people are canceling that we can turn into data and use to like intercept the customers and give them like maybe offers or like customer support that can help train them on how to use the product. So I did a lot of that research and saw how other companies were doing cancellation, and I gathered all that information, put it into a repository, made a presentation, and took it back to the stakeholders, including the marketing department and even the CEO. And then they kind of came on the same page as me, and then I got to lead and own this entire cancellation process and implement it in my company. So yeah, that was one of the examples of how to balance customer needs and business needs. I think that they can align together as long as you do the research and like think about a solution that balances both.
Thank you. How did the audience think? Were both of those answers pretty good? As the judges finish scoring, just to make sure we have enough time for the whiteboarding practice, quick reflection. Sorry, go ahead.
Question.
Yeah, go ahead.
This question was framed like for interviewing for a specific company.
Yes.
How would you recommend tailoring your response for like that company's?
Yeah, good question. I got where it's going. So that's a little detail I wanted to mention. So in that specific site prompt, you'll see it's imagining if you're interviewing for Amazon. So this is almost a guaranteed 100% question you will get asked at Amazon. Doesn't matter what level you're interviewing for. So that's why it's framed as for Amazon. At Amazon, they have the leadership principles, but almost at every other company, there is some version of customer obsession. Like it's so widely adapted. So for this question, I think at every company, more or less, the right answer works. I think this is an interesting question because both teams took a little bit of a different approach. On the right side, they took a really Amazon-like specific, they paid attention to the small prompt, so props to you guys. On the left side, a very strong traditional behavioral question answer. If I had to score it like myself, I would probably give it to the left side. But I think in a real interview though, this is the interesting part, I think in a real interview, the right side performed a little bit better if I was the hiring manager. And the reason why is because on the right side, if I was the hiring manager, I would immediately follow up with, can you give me an example? So it's fine. Like if you don't always have example in your answer, it's fine. In fact, in an actual interview, it's recommended that you break apart your answers. So some questions, you don't always have to lead with an example because then it becomes really robotic, right? So you have to kind of gauge the room. The more senior you are, the more you interview, the less you actually follow a formulaic approach. So on the right side, if you seem really experienced, if I'm a hiring manager, I can sense your confidence. I would like to hear an example from you, how you understand it. On the left side there, I think pretty strong answer, but the ending part, I think you could feel yourself was a bit weak because I saw you try to loop it back to rephrase the question. So the key to answering a behavioral question is at the end, don't drag it out. The more you drag it out, the more the question loses focus. So you actually can end it exactly like this is how I made the impact to the company. That's it. You don't have to recess it. And then you added the extra sentence like, so this was how I interviewed. Like, so this is how I applied the principle. So remember, like the more you talk, the less good the answer is generally, right? So always try. This is why we keep a timer, right? Because this is part of the practice. So hopefully, if you're in the audience, you also got to learn a little bit. So judges, please finish your score. You can tell it's a hard question for them to debate as well. So I'll let them finish debating. Let's start the last question. So this is the last question. And imagine you are interviewing to become a designer at OpenAI. Why do you want to join our company? I believe we're starting on this side, right? I think so. Yeah, we're starting on your side last. No, it's starting.
Okay, yeah, that's good.
Namita, please start the timer. All right, Team Jaw, you have 4 minutes to discuss and answer. And then coaches finish scoring. Still debating. Okay. Okay. It's a tricky one to score because both teams did pretty well, honestly. CMU students are surprisingly good at behavioral questions.
Why is that surprising?
No, because it's hard. Like, these questions are hard. I mean, Arjun, I saw some of these Amazon questions. I glanced over at you. I saw you had PTSD.
I recognize some of them.
Yeah. Also, like, this question says 5-star, not because every company is going to ask you, like, why do you want to join them, but because usually it's like at some point in the interview, someone guaranteed will ask you this. Might be the recruiter, might be the hiring manager. So at some point, you should have a good answer for this question. And Amita, how are we doing on time?
3 minutes.
3 minutes? Yeah, go ahead.
So normally when I'm preparing for this question for any interview, I would do research.
Sure, of course.
Job description.
Sure, of course.
The background, the
Sure.
mission of this
Yes.
company. I did not do any.
It's okay. You can just
research
pretend you did some. You can make some stuff up. Yeah. You can add some detail if you want.
But other people did research. They will come up.
It's okay. Just do your best. Yeah. Someone on your team.
Should I look up the mission statement?
No, it's okay.
That would be reasonable.
Just make it for fun.
Yeah. Just make something up. Just imagine like ChatGPT. OpenAI is ChatGPT, by the way. So yeah. If you didn't know that, that's. All right. How are you on time?
2 minutes. and
2 minutes. Yeah. More time to discuss. Want to just try to go for it?
This is like kind of hard. So
This is usually a question that seems deceptively easy, but usually it's very hard, especially for big tech companies, because sometimes the real reason is just like they pay better or like it's a big company. So make sure like you do the research. All right, let's give it a shot.
Okay. Okay. I am very interested in this position for a few key reasons. I think I'd be a really good fit to be a designer at OpenAI because I work at the intersection of design and tech in university as a major in information systems and HCI. I have a lot of design studio classes, but I'm also doing programming and open source contributions. So I think OpenAI at the core is at the intersection of so many different industries, and being someone who is intersectional, I'd be able to harness these strengths to apply them to be a designer and improve the interface of a large language model. Secondly, I think OpenAI is driving society towards something that I'm very passionate about. I've grown up around innovation. Being from the Bay Area, that's not true. But I care a lot about statistics, machine learning, and large language models. So not true. And I think OpenAI is truly transforming the lives of students all around the world, professionals, industry experts, and this is something I'm very passionate about, and I would love to work at the intersection of a lot of different people changing the future landscape of technology. And finally,
Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry. My bad. Go ahead.
30 seconds.
and finally,
All right, let's go. Okay, just back to back. Does the other team want to steal? That was excellent. Okay. I appreciate the good sportsmanship. So how about we shake hands and then they'll tally up the final score. Yeah. And then before the panelists go and we reveal our answers, of course everyone is a winner. Surprise, surprise. So everyone gets a tote bag. So yeah, everyone's a winner. So make sure you grab a tote bag.